So we keep on getting leaky pipes, and we got some brand new tiles. We asked for the tiles to stop getting wet and falling on our heads, and we asked for mold to stop getting our sick. So the landlord did this. What a good job he did making sure the leaks stopped and the mold didn't come back, huh? Almost looks like he just put a tile up and that's it. Oh, that's right, because he didn't fix the problem. He just threw a tile up. See, same thing here. And here's where it gets funny. He's trying to blame other people for his own problems. For instance, there is windows leaking water in, there's bedbug problems in this building, and he's blaming those on us. But how about the leaky pipes? He, what does he blame that on? He's saying that the upstairs neighbors are flooding the place when they're not. They had one flood. And you think that's bad? Wait till you see downstairs. Ooh, give me a moment. My GI is hurting. Tell me, are the neighbors on the third floor responsible for these pipes? Tell me that, huh? If it's the upstairs neighbors ruining our ceiling, getting us hurt, how are they doing that one? And if me and my roommate are the ones damaging the windows, how do we possibly damage all three floors from the outside? And if it's 10 years of damage or more, how do we do it when we've only been up here 6 years? Sorry about this. Yeah, I'm hurt. The landlord has literally beat me to the point where I can't even go up downstairs. Plus, my own mother and father poisoned me and tried to make me crippled. My father was a victim of this, a willing victim. It's very confusing, but my mother is the real person who tried to make me crippled. But there's a lot of other problems, obviously, coming on now. I'm 31. That was at age 7. How about now? Well, now you just got a lot of greedy motherfuckers trying to blame their own problems on other people. Victim blaming. That window right there? Oh, that's the tenant's fault. The leaky pipes? The tenant's fault. The mushrooms coming in the floor? The tenant's fault. Bed bugs? Tenant's fault. The fact that you have two people paying for a two-bedroom but living in a studio, begging you to repair your apartment that they cannot repair? And then the living room and the kitchen is a mess because everything from the bedroom now has to be piled. 2 mattresses are in the living room with all the bureaus. Do you think that looks like a clean room? But no, then he blames the tenants. It's the tenants' fault for being messy. No, we had a clean house until we lost our bedrooms. Water started damaging our property. Water damaged our apartment. Water coming in windows. Water falling down. Pipes leaking. Waterfalls coming in windows. Mold, mushrooms coming in. Actual black mold in every corner of the house. And that's just the beginning of it. And 3 years we've been reporting this, and when we try to pay our rent, he throws us on the ground and beats us. When the landscapers throw cans in the back to get extra money because they're paid under the table, Bob says, I need you to clean up these cans. They laugh and say, you got to give us more money. Bob says, I'm not paying you again. That bullshit happens. So then Bob comes to his tenants screaming, I'm going to hit you. I'm going to freaking evict you if you don't go cleaning up those cans outside. And we're like, we have nothing to do with those cans. Why are you going to threaten us? I don't care. You told you go. Starts making a fist and threatening. And of course, the old man is scared. 84 years old, heart beating out of his chest. So he crawls on his hands and knees on a sleep stove, filling up a bag of cans that aren't his. I have to tell him, David, just because a landlord threatens you with violence and an eviction does not mean that you have to do what he says. If a landlord says he's going to punch you and evict you if you don't do his landscaping for him, that doesn't mean your only choice is to go do it. You can report it, but then we found out Rochester wants to disappear any reports. So that's why the landlord thinks he can get away with this for 10 years on time. Even when the landlord is caught on camera kicking a disabled man who has his kidneys failing that could die from these kicks. Then he bends down and punches the man in the GI he just took an ambulance for. What does Rochester do about hate speech, a hate crime, a man almost being killed while trying to pay his rent? They evict you. That's it. They allow the landlord to try to run you off the road. They allow the landlord to bring in people who are paid under the table to try to intimidate you and make death threats right out front of the courtroom, whisper things in the courtroom. Well, they must be part of the case if they're in the courtroom, right? Nope. Nope, not at all. They weren't there for anything. They have nothing to do with the case whatsoever. The landlord just pays this guy, asked him to show up for court to intimidate us, put him on the list, and that's it. If he tried to testify, there's absolutely nothing honest he can say. He's not allowed in our apartment. There's a restraining order, but Rochester will keep on using our disabilities to disqualify us and keep on getting us hurt. They'll say because David can't read and write that he's allowed to get abused by other people. Oh, you need to read and write if you want any help. David will say, I'm disabled and I can't read and write. And they say, well, in that case, we can't do anything for you. Bye-bye now. You got to fill out this paper or we're not going to help you. I can't read or write. Well, then we're not going to help you. So that's what happens a lot of the time. And obviously the landlord's blaming his tenants. It's our fault that he has window damage and bed bugs. And it's upstairs' fault that he has all leaky, rusty pipes. That is what he's claiming in court. And he's everything that is wrong, he twists and blames on the victim. He's using lying rhetoric. He's tried to mislead the judge. He even tried to mislead the judge right in front of him, and the judge caught him, and nobody even cared. And then I try to present footage of me trying to pay my rent. The judge says because that is connected to an assault case, I can't bring it during my eviction case, even though the video shows me trying to pay my rent. So it's obvious it's part of the eviction, but because I got kicked in the kidneys on the ground and beaten, I'm not allowed to use it? That sounds like some more bullshit to get me kind of like violate my rights. Oh, he has a case in October for an assault, so we're not going to take the video of him paying his rent in July 16th. And even though the payment of rent and the assault all happened together, we're going to move the assault all the way to October. We're going to move all the apartment damage all the way to August. And we're going to bang out the eviction in a week or two, and we're not even going to allow the video of him trying to pay his rent to be presented. If I can't show video, if I'm not allowed to show pictures that actually show me paying my rent, I don't know, it looks like I'm screwed. Corruption won. I'm going to be killed and disappeared soon, thanks to Rochester, and they want it. I mean, every time in the last 6 years we brought this to Rochester, they just make excuses and try to use our disabilities to disqualify us from getting help. It's very clear that David cannot read and write, and it's very clear as long as people are kicking me, it's cold, or my seizures or my neurological disorder is really bad, I have trouble writing with my hand. I can do talk to text, I can talk a bunch of writing in, and I can understand reading to a point until I start shaking, and then I have to stop, or I'll have a seizure. I mean, you can't cause yourself damage. If you start feeling the shakes and a taser and it's going up, you have to stop, take a deep breath, make sure it goes away, and then you can go back to reading. But see, people don't care about your disability. No, not at all. They are very happy violating every single right as long as it saves them money. But guess what? That isn't legal. That's a good way to fuck with somebody's head to the point that they have nightmares every single night. And when you give somebody that type of mental abuse, physical abuse, you damage their kidneys, you kick them on the ground, you harass them, you show up to their work, you try to drive them off the road. When you do these type of things, sometimes, just sometimes, people can't take the abuse and they snap. Now, I follow Jesus, and I believe that when somebody abuses you, you should try to do more work for your society so it will never happen again. If people are dumping septic tanks, then you need to report those septic tanks so that way nobody dumps them in again. Make sure that person cleans up that tank, and then maybe the neighbors don't dump any tanks. That's the way I look at it. Do the right thing. Try to make the situation better. And if we all do this, then eventually we don't have these problems anymore. But there's two ways of handling this I've seen. My way, what is to try to do everything to help people, or people just lose their mind and break.